AITA for saying I won't stay if his ex keeps being involved in our lives? 26F, never thought I'd be the kind of person writing an AITA post, let alone about this. I've read these stories for years and always thought, that could never be me. I'd notice the signs. I'd speak up sooner. I wouldn't let things get that far. Turns out it's really easy to say that when you're not the one slowly being pushed out of your own relationship. I'm writing this now because I genuinely don't know if I'm overreacting, if I let insecurity ruin something good, or if I ignored reality for too long and finally snapped. Some of my friends are split. Some say I did the right thing. Others think I threw away a good relationship over jealousy. My ex definitely thinks I'm the problem. So here it is. I met my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend Mark, 28M, about 2 years ago. We met through mutual friends at a birthday party. He was funny in a dry, understated way, the kind of person who listens more than he talks but always says the right thing when he does. He wasn't flashy. He felt safe, steady, the kind of guy you could picture building a life with. Our relationship started slowly. We took our time. We talked a lot about values, about past relationships, about what we wanted in the future. One of the first serious conversations we had was about his ex. Her name is Lena. Mark and Lena dated for almost 5 years. They lived together. They talked about marriage. They broke up about a year before I met him. According to Mark, the breakup was mutual. We just realized we wanted different things, he said. No big blow-up. No cheating. No dramatic betrayal. Just didn't work. He told me early on that they were still in contact. I remember that conversation clearly because I remember being proud of how cool I was about it. He said, I want to be upfront. Lena is still in my life. We're friends. I asked what that meant. He said they texted sometimes, checked in on each other, occasionally met up for coffee. He emphasized that there was nothing romantic, that they'd both moved on, that she was important to him as a person. I paused, considered it, and said, okay. And I meant it. At the time, it felt mature. Healthy even. I told myself that being threatened by an ex was immature. That trust meant not controlling who your partner talks to. That if I wanted a secure relationship, I had to be secure. I even said out loud, I don't want to be the girlfriend who's threatened by an ex. That sentence will haunt me forever. For the first few months, everything was great. Mark was attentive, thoughtful, affectionate in quiet ways. He remembered things I mentioned in passing. He showed up when he said he would. He made me feel chosen. Lena was there but distant. A name that came up occasionally. A text notification that flashed on his phone once in a while. Nothing alarming. When I asked about her, he answered openly. She's stressed about work. She's thinking of moving. She's dating someone new. I appreciated the transparency. It made me feel included, not suspicious. When we became official, I asked, carefully, if anything would change with Lena now that he was in a new relationship. He smiled and said, of course. You're my priority. I believed him. The first thing that bothered me was so small, I almost didn't notice it. We were out to dinner one night, maybe 3 months in. I was telling him about a conflict at work, something that had really upset me. I was mid-sentence when his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then glanced again. I'm sorry, he said, already picking it up. It's Lena. He typed a quick reply while nodding along to what I was saying, clearly not listening. I stopped talking. Sorry, he said again, putting the phone down. What were you saying? I felt a flicker of irritation, but I pushed it down. Later that night, I joked, guess Lena needed you urgently. He laughed. She's just having a rough time. That was it. Conversation over. Moments like that started happening more often. He'd be present with me, until she texted. Then his attention would fracture. He wouldn't always reply immediately, but he'd read it. His mood would shift. Sometimes he'd grow quiet. Sometimes distracted. I noticed that if I texted him while he was busy, he'd respond hours later. But when Lena texted, there was always an urgency, an attentiveness. I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself I didn't want to be that girlfriend. About 6 months in, Lena went through a breakup of her own. Mark told me about it before I heard anything else, which I appreciated. She's not doing great, he said. I just wanted you to know in case I seemed distracted. That seemed considerate. Honest. What I didn't expect was how much space that breakup would take up in our relationship. Suddenly, Mark was always checking in on her. Long phone calls, late-night texts, weekend coffee meetups that ran longer than expected. One night, we had plans to watch a movie at my place. He texted an hour before saying he'd be late. Lena's having a really hard night. I'm with her. I stared at my phone, unsure how to feel. I typed, okay, hope she's alright. Then deleted it. Then typed it again and hit send. He arrived 3 hours later, apologetic but distracted. She really needed someone, he said, as if that explained everything. I nodded, smiled, said I understood. Inside, something twisted. I tried to bring it up gently a few days later. I know Lena's important to you, I said, choosing my words carefully, but sometimes I feel like our plans come second. He frowned, immediately defensive. That's not fair. She's going through something. I know. I'm not saying you shouldn't support her. She doesn't have a lot of people, he cut in. I can't just abandon her. That word, abandon, hit me hard. I wasn't asking him to abandon anyone. I was asking him to show up for me too. But I swallowed that thought. I get it, I said. And again, conversation over. Looking back, that was the pattern. I'd bring up a concern. Carefully. Calmly. Trying not to sound emotional or accusatory. And he'd respond like I was questioning his character. The first time I met Lena was at a group gathering, Mark's friend's housewarming party. He told me ahead of time she'd be there. I just don't want it to be awkward. That sentence alone made me anxious. When I finally met her, she was exactly what I feared and didn't want to admit. She was beautiful. Effortlessly so. Confident. Comfortable with Mark in a way that came from years of shared history. She hugged him when she arrived. A long hug. Familiar. Oh my God, it's so good to see you, she said. Then she turned to me and smiled. Polite. Assessing. So you must be her. Not rude. Not kind. Just loaded. The entire night, she gravitated toward him. Inside jokes. Shared memories. Stories that ended with, remember when we... I laughed along, feeling like a guest in a relationship that wasn't mine. At one point, I went to get a drink and overheard her say, I don't know what I'd do without you. Mark squeezed her hand. That image burned itself into my brain. On the drive home, I was quiet. What's wrong? He asked. I just felt a little out of place tonight. I admitted. He sighed. You're reading too much into it. That phrase became another refrain. I started to doubt my own perceptions. Despite everything, I stayed. Because when things were good between Mark and me, they were really good. We laughed. We planned trips. We talked about moving in together someday. And because I didn't want to be the girlfriend who couldn't handle an ex, I told myself love meant patience, understanding, trust. By the time we hit the 1-year mark, Lena wasn't just in his life. She was woven into it. She knew his schedule, his moods, his stresses. Sometimes before I did, he'd vent to her after arguments with me. I found that out accidentally when he mentioned, Lena thinks you were a little harsh. I remember staring at him. You talked to her about our fight? She knows me, he said, like that explained it. I felt exposed, betrayed in a way I couldn't fully articulate. But again, I didn't push. I didn't want to seem controlling. I didn't want to be unreasonable. I kept telling myself, this is what secure people do. And slowly, quietly, I started disappearing from my own relationship. Update. Somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like Mark's partner and started feeling like a placeholder. The worst part wasn't that Lena existed in his life. It was that she existed above me. The escalation was subtle at first, the kind of thing that sounds harmless if you describe it out loud. Mark started checking in with Lena every morning. Not a big conversation, just a good morning text, a meme, a quick, how are you holding up? I noticed because I didn't get those texts anymore. When I mentioned it casually, You used to text me good morning all the time. He laughed and said, "You're reading into things again." I started noticing patterns. If Lena had a bad day, Mark would rearrange his evening. If I had a bad day, he'd listen briefly, then suggest I try not to dwell on it. If she called, he answered. Always. Even if we were mid-conversation. Even if we were eating. Even if we were in bed watching something together. If I called while he was with her, he'd text later. "Sorry, busy." Once, I asked, "Why does she always come first?" He looked genuinely confused. She doesn't. But his actions told a different story. The moment that really cracked something in me happened on my birthday. I don't make a huge deal out of birthdays, but this one mattered. I'd had a rough year at work, my family situation was tense, and I told Mark, explicitly, that I just wanted one day where I felt prioritized. He promised me dinner. Just us. An hour before we were supposed to leave, his phone rang. I already knew. He stepped into the other room, but not far enough that I couldn't hear his tone shift. When he came back, his face had that look I'd learned to dread. "I'm so sorry," he said. "Lena's really not okay. She's spiraling." I didn't say anything at first. "She just needs me for a bit," he continued. "We can reschedule dinner. I'll make it up to you." Something inside me went cold. "It's my birthday," I said quietly. "I know. And I feel awful. But this isn't something I can ignore." I stared at him. "So you're leaving?" He hesitated, just for a second, then nodded. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stepped back and said, "Okay." He hugged me before leaving, kissed my forehead, told me he loved me. I spent my birthday night alone, eating takeout I barely tasted, scrolling on my phone, watching him text me updates about her. That night, I cried in a way I hadn't cried in years. Not loud, not dramatic, just quietly, like something was finally breaking. After that, I stopped bringing things up. Not because they stopped hurting, but because every time I did, I felt smaller. The resentment built anyway. It showed up in small ways. Snappier responses. Forced smiles. Long silences. Mark noticed, of course, but instead of asking why, he accused. "You've been distant," he said one night. I laughed. "That's rich." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you're the one who's not here." He crossed his arms. "You're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Making it into something it's not." That was when I realized something important. He just didn't want to change. The snap didn't happen in a moment of rage. It happened in a moment of clarity. We were at his place, sitting on opposite ends of the couch. He was texting again, smiling faintly. "Who is it?" I asked, though I already knew. "Lena," he said. Something in me just stopped holding back. "Do you realize," I said slowly, "that you're more emotionally available to your ex than to your girlfriend?" He looked annoyed. "Here we go." "No," I said. "No, don't dismiss this. Just listen for once." He sighed loudly, like I was exhausting him. "I'm listening." "Are you?" I asked. Because from where I'm standing, it feels like I come second in my own relationship. "That's not true." "Then why do you drop everything for her?" "She needs me. And I don't." He didn't answer immediately. That silence said everything. I stood up, hands shaking. I have spent over a year being patient, being understanding. I have swallowed my feelings over and over because I didn't want to seem jealous or controlling. "You are jealous," he said flatly. That hurt more than I expected. "I'm hurt," I corrected. "There's a difference." "You're making me choose," he said. "I am not," I said, voice rising. "I'm asking you to set boundaries. Normal ones." "She's been in my life longer than you," he snapped. The words landed like a slap. I stared at him. "Say that again," I said. He didn't. But he didn't take it back either. That was the moment everything clicked. I saw the pattern, the hierarchy, the truth I'd been trying so hard not to see. I wasn't his partner. I was his option. Someone who fit into the gaps between his emotional commitments to someone else. I felt strangely calm. "So this is it," I said quietly. "This is what it's going to be like. Forever." "You're being dramatic." I'm being honest. I took a breath. I can't stay in a relationship where I'm constantly competing with your past. You're overreacting.
There it is, I said.
That's what you always do. You minimize. You dismiss. You tell me I'm too much instead of admitting you're giving too little. He shook his head. I'm done having this conversation. That was it. I realized I was done too. I'm leaving, I said. He looked surprised. Actually surprised. You don't mean that. I do. You're really going to throw this away because you can't handle my friendship? I felt a flicker of doubt. Just a flicker. Then I remembered my birthday. The dinners canceled. The calls answered. The way he'd said she's been in my life longer than you. I'm leaving because I deserve to be someone's priority, I said.
He scoffed.
You're being unreasonable. Maybe. But I picked up my bag anyway. We broke up that night. No screaming. No begging. Just a quiet, devastating finality. He didn't try to stop me. That hurt almost as much as everything else. Now I'm sitting here, weeks later, replaying everything. Some people tell me I did the right thing. That emotional cheating is still cheating. That boundaries matter. Others tell me I was insecure. That men and women can be friends. That I should have trusted him more. Mark texted me once after the breakup. I hope you realize one day that you let your jealousy ruin something good. And that's why I'm here. AITA for saying I wouldn't stay if his ex kept being involved in our lives, and then actually leaving when nothing changed? Update. I didn't feel broken after the breakup. That surprised me. I thought I would. I thought I'd wake up every day with a hollow ache, replaying conversations, wondering what I could have done differently. I thought I'd miss him constantly. Instead, what I felt, slowly, quietly, was relief. The kind that settles into your bones when you no longer have to brace yourself for disappointment. The first few days after ending things with Mark were strange. I kept reaching for my phone out of habit. Kept expecting that familiar knot in my stomach whenever it buzzed. But the buzz didn't come. Not at first. And when it did, it wasn't from him. It was from Amanda. Amanda had been one of the few people who never wavered in her support. She never told me I was overreacting. Never asked me to see it from his side. She listened. She believed me. A week after the breakup, she texted, I know your birthday already passed, but you didn't really get to celebrate it.
Come over this weekend.
I'm fixing that. I hesitated. I didn't feel like being the center of attention. I didn't feel like explaining myself again. She followed up immediately. Just me, you, and Jake. Low-key. No pressure. Jake was her boyfriend. They'd been together for 3 years, and they were solid. I agreed. When I walked into Amanda's apartment, the first thing I noticed wasn't the decorations or the small cake on the counter. It was the atmosphere. Amanda greeted me with a hug that lingered just a second longer than usual. Happy belated birthday, she said softly. Jake smiled at me from the kitchen. Glad you're here. That was it. No awkward questions. No pity. Just welcome. We sat around the table, eating takeout, laughing about stupid things. Amanda brought out a small cake with candles. Nothing dramatic, but thoughtful. Make a wish, she said. I closed my eyes. And for the first time in a long time, my wish wasn't about someone else changing. At one point, Amanda asked gently, Are you okay? I thought about it before answering. I think I am, I said. Better than I expected. She nodded like she'd known that already. Later, after Jake stepped out to grab drinks, Amanda asked if I wanted to talk.
So I told her everything.
Not the sanitized version. Not the we just wanted different things version. The birthdays missed. The conversations dismissed. The way I'd felt invisible in my own relationship. She listened without interrupting, her jaw tightening more with every detail. When I finished, she said quietly, You didn't lose anything worth keeping. I swallowed hard. You know what the difference is? She continued, gesturing toward the kitchen where Jake was. When I'm upset, he notices. When I ask for something, he doesn't make me feel like it's unreasonable. I watched Jake come back in, automatically handing Amanda her drink without being asked. Something clicked. This was what I'd been trying to convince myself I didn't need. Later that night, the doorbell rang. That'll be Jake's brother, Amanda said casually. I looked up. Brother?
Yeah, Liam.
He was supposed to stop by earlier. When Liam walked in, he looked normal. Tall, relaxed, kind eyes. He smiled when introduced. Nice to meet you. We talked in a group at first, about work, about music, about nothing important. But I noticed something quickly. When I spoke, he listened. At one point, Amanda excused herself to the kitchen and shot me a look over her shoulder, one that was far too knowing. Later, when Liam stepped out to take a call, she leaned in. You see it, right? I frowned. See what? She smirked. You don't need Mark. And, honestly, Mark was never worth you. I sighed. I'm not jumping into anything. I just got out. I know, she said. I'm not saying jump. I'm saying don't close yourself off. When Liam came back, we ended up talking alone on the balcony. He didn't flirt, didn't pry. At one point, I apologized for being quiet. You don't have to perform, he said simply. That sentence stayed with me. Before he left, he said, it was really nice meeting you. I hope you're doing okay. No pressure. No expectation. Just kindness. When I got back to my apartment that night, my phone buzzed. Amanda, if you want, I can give Liam your number. No pressure at all. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I did something I hadn't planned on doing. I texted Mark. I've thought about it and I'm done.
Completely.
Please don't contact me again. The reply came fast. You're being dramatic. We can talk when you calm down. There it was. The same dismissal. The same refusal to take me seriously. And for the first time, it didn't hurt. It just confirmed everything.
I didn't reply.
Instead, I texted Amanda. You can give Liam my number. Liam texted me the next day. Nothing big. Just, hey, this is Liam. Amanda gave me your number. Hope that's okay. We talked slowly. No rushing. No expectations. He never made me feel like I owed him anything, not attention, not reassurance, not emotional labor. When I told him about my past relationship, he didn't defend Mark. He just said, you didn't do anything wrong. If someone can't prioritize you, they're not ready for a relationship. I cried after that conversation. Not because I was sad. Because I felt seen. 2 months passed. 2 months where I didn't check Mark's social media. 2 months where I didn't replay old conversations. 2 months where my chest didn't tighten every time my phone buzzed. Liam and I took things slow. Coffee. Walks. Long conversations. When he asked if I wanted to be official, he did it gently. No pressure, he said. I just want to know where you're at. I said yes. And it felt easy. That was when Mark started spiraling. At first, the messages were dismissive. I still think you overreacted. If you apologize, we can fix this. Then they shifted. I miss you. We had something real. Then desperate. Can we please talk? Around that time, Amanda told me something important. Lena's in a new relationship, she said. Her new boyfriend isn't comfortable with Mark being around. So she cut him off. I felt a strange mix of emotions. Sadness. Validation. Closure. Mark had lost the one person he'd prioritized over me. And suddenly I mattered again. Too late. Mark asked to meet. I hesitated, but then agreed. Not for him. For me. Liam knew. He didn't get jealous. Didn't question my intentions. Do what you need to do, he said. I trust you. That trust meant everything. When I met Mark, he looked unraveled. Tired. Anxious. Desperate. He started talking immediately, apologizing, explaining, justifying. I listened for a bit. Then my phone buzzed. Liam calling. I answered. Hey, I said, standing up. I'm in the store, Liam said. Do you need a chocolate? Yeah, I replied. I hung up and sat back down. Mark stared at me. I smiled politely. He kept talking. I checked my phone again. Replied to Liam. Mark frowned. Can you not do that right now? I looked at him. You're reading too much into it, I said calmly. His face fell. As he started pouring his heart out, I stood up. Sorry, I said. I have to go. The realization hit him like a wave. You can't just leave, he said. I can, I replied. And I am. I'll change, he said desperately. I shook my head. I'm over you.
Completely.
We're never getting back together. And I walked away, without listening, the same way he had done to me, again and again. And for the first time, I didn't look back.